Holy smokes, that's awesome. We're rescuing a few cars off of an estate here locally. You can see a couple dune buggies over here. There's a 40s Plymouth, there's a 50s Chevy, there's some shoebox Fords, and there's this right here. It's a Model A peach flat. We had a lot of peaches here in South Carolina, Georgia, and Florida, and this was super common to build a peach flat, is what they called it. Model A pickup truck. This thing's been off the road since the mid-90s. Whoa, lots of wasp nests. And we're gonna try to get it running again. We got it back. Unfortunately, if you couldn't tell, the 90% of this thing's made out of wood, and it's all rotten because it's been a few years and we lost most of it, but we did save this fantastic electrophonic 8-track radio and these really cool speakers. Now let's see if we can get this thing running. Unfortunately, where this thing was sitting, it has been vacant for many, many years. And some folks had made their way onto the property and messed with stuff and had been opening this hood. And if you've been around these old Model Ts and Models As, you know all these hinges freeze. And if you can see right here, they're all frozen and it bent up. It hadn't really messed it up bad yet. You can see we've sprayed it down. We're gonna try to get it free enough to open, pull the top 2 screws, pull the whole thing and clean it up and get everything working, because it's actually in really, really nice shape. Hopefully we can get all those hinges nice and free. Well, it's there. It's crunchy, but it's there. It actually doesn't look horrible. It's unfortunate the carburetor's wide open, but at least it's down bottom there. Let's see what the oil looks like. Some signs of moisture, but not just straight water, and that oil actually doesn't look horrible. It's got that old, I always say it smells like old oil, but I mean, oil's old, but there's just something about these engines that have been sitting for many, many years, especially these old ones, just have like a certain, I don't know, extra antique dinosaur bone smell. First thing, before we start tearing into too much, let's cover up that carburetor and let's blow all of this stuff out of here. We got some rat's nest up top, down in the engine here, and then we've got a bunch of leaves and stuff where this thing has been tucked up under the trees. first thing, I want to soak everything down. Let's pull these spark plugs. Let's get an idea of the condition of our combustion chamber. We know this thing's been somewhat sitting out for quite a few years now. We don't want to just start trying to crank anything over. We want to actually soak it down, give it some time to soak. And getting a look here is going to tell us how the rest of this process is going to go. At least the firing order on this one's pretty easy to remember. These old Champion spark plugs are so cool. Nice and small, 1 1/8" spark plugs. Not too shabby. Another not horrible cylinder. Man. Nice seal too. Those threads are beautiful. Oh man, you don't get much better than that. Just a tiny bit of condensation, but not horrible for a almost 100-year-old vehicle. Oh my goodness. We are looking really good. Last cylinder. Little bit of moisture, but wow. Now, because we do see that, and I was going to anyways, let's spray and soak, because you can actually see some of the moisture there. Let's just soak these things down, let this thing soak for a little bit before we even try to turn over. We don't want to crank it over with the starter. We want to try to crank it over by hand. If you start just ringing on there, we've got some rust on the rings or something, we take the possibility of breaking rings or ring glands. We don't want to do that. So let's soak this thing down. A little stuck. Let's take a peek down in these cylinders and see if we can see why we're stuck. I bet it's going to be that very rear cylinder. Dude, look at the crosshatch on there. Yeah, see the little bit of surface rust. Holy moly, that's actually pretty though. This thing may have been rebuilt at some point in time. Look at the crosshatch. Oh. That's a pretty fresh engine. That's why it's stuck. Holy smokes. Do you see that? Do you see that? There's a little bit of surface rust on the walls. Yeah, that's a dingleberry hone job, but that's pretty. See the rust on the valves there? Just a little bit around the piston, but look at that. Okay, so we've definitely, what's unfortunate with a lot of these is a lot of times we end up from an estate, and that's how this was. So we have no history other than what we were told as far as when it was parked and stuff. And it's clear that maybe this thing had been restored, because it's actually pretty okay. Well, I mean, other than all the wood rotted off of it, the rest of it's actually pretty decent shape, and I'm wondering if it had been mildly restored. But with that, it looks like it had some really fresh cylinders, and just the tiniest amount of rust has formed there, and this thing is stuck. So let's let it soak for a while longer. We don't want to take a chance of hurting anything. We'll give it a few days. I'm going to pour some Marvel Mistral oil down in it, let everything kind of work in there, and here in a couple days we'll try one more time, and hopefully this thing will move free. Without an original hand crank, and there's no way we can get a socket down on the front of this thing, We want to pull the starter. That is not only going to give us access to the flywheel, so hopefully we can get a little bit better of a pry point, but we'll verify that the reason this thing is stuck is not the starter. Maybe it's engaged and it is frozen stuck. We have had that before, and so it is always a possibility. Oh, it wants to. Oh my goodness. She goes. No problem. That had to have been just a bit of rust there. Those pretty, what were fresh looking cylinder walls. No problem at all. Now I want to turn this thing over with a starter at this point, but before we do that, as long as this thing's been sitting, if there is sludge or any contaminants will have settled down to the bottom of that oil pan. Before we start sucking it up in the oil pump and sending it through the engine, let's drain it. If all looks good, we're ready to refill. If it's okay, then at that point we'll know if we need to drop the pan or anything. If it looks decent and maybe needs another change, it's just cheap insurance. We can run it, warm it up, and then change it again. There's literally no, there it goes. 94-year-old Carl well, what do we got? Oh, we have water. Well, that, my friend, is why we do this.
Just a little.
Yeah, no, it's just a tiny bit of water, but I think I know why it was stuck a little bit. You know what's crazy is there's no direct opening on this. So that's just condensation over the years of this, from this thing sitting. No sludge, which is great. A little bit of water. Thank goodness it was separated and down at the bottom. As good as everything is looking so far, hopefully it's okay in there. Let's get some fresh oil in this thing. Before even putting the starter back on, we might as well check it and see if it works correctly. This is a reverse, blowing some stuff up at Corey. Reverse polarity. Hey, look at that. Oh my goodness. That is 4 compression cylinders. Let's try to figure out our ignition system. Oh man, those points look brand new. So I needed to do just a little bit of research to understand this, but from my understanding and what is going on here, did you drag all this out?
Yeah.
This was an ignition switch somebody has added at some point of time, and it's quite scary actually. You just have your 6-volt coil. This side is powered off of your starter power here. This side runs through an ignition switch and then to the distributor. And then there's a magic little black wire in here, which I guess acts as your condenser. It bolts across this plate down here. It does not look exceptional, but we're gonna try it for now. And then our main thing, otherwise, is just our points. So I am going to try and get those clean, and let's see if we have fire. I imagine you can buy these new, but we always want to try to keep this original stuff if we can, because most of the time it's a whole lot better than what you buy nowadays. Making and then come apart, breaking and then go back, making. Awesome. Okay, here's the other side of that. We should be able to connect those. I'm gonna put a little bit of grease on the points there to help with wear. I'll put that right there. We're also going to oil it. Doesn't take much. Also realize, like I said, I'm learning, don't know anything about these, but see this hole right here? That's where the condenser goes. So there's no condenser. What's insane is the fact that this thing is trying to fire with this rigged up ignition system and kind of half falling apart, and it's a 94-year-old car. What's even crazier is I just called the auto parts store and they've got points and a condenser for this thing. So we're gonna throw another set of points in it just because who knows, those are iffy, and then a condenser because there's not one at all. I'm kind of scared. Looks good. Ooh. Yeah, that's bad. Dude. Varnish and oh, look. Float has started coming apart. So there's like, it looks like paper in there where the float is delaminating. It looks like an old tractor tank though. Varnish, but there's no rust. You've got to be kidding me. That's awesome. Let's try to get some fresh gas in there and shake the tank around a little bit. It's got a water separator, kind of. Let's see if we get some decent gas flowing through it and pull this carburetor off. I did not think this was an actual seat. This is an original seat. Look at the horsehair and the springs in there. That's so cool. Now the reason I decided just to pull this is that right there. I wonder how well this ran. Look where it was mounted. It wasn't even on. The gasket wasn't even on there. Let's see how 30 or so years has been on this carburetor. Maybe see a gasket. Good. All the spiders, man. Wow. That's an original carb. And it's actually, it's not horrible. It just uses a ball for the needle. This thing is all stripped out because it's supposed to turn. Tube, probably your idle circuit. I'm going to count the number of turns on our mixture here. Half, 1, half, 2, About 2, maybe a little extra. Idle air mixture there. Another jet there, looks clean. Here's our choke lever. And this guy comes out. Oh, dang, the spider's in there. Sorry, buddy. Okay, it is definitely time to make some soup. I don't know, we're gonna find out, aren't we? Hopefully not much. I don't even want it on my hand.
You're gonna get it on your hand.
Oh boy. Oh yeah.
Oh,
that's...
look, it's transmission fluid.
Sweet tea.
Not too bad.
That would be a really, really good beer.
Try it?
No. Throw this in here with the soup. Oh my goodness. That is some good soup. This thing actually cleaned up pretty good. All of our ports are open and we're getting all of our adjusters here to free up, which is nice. We're gonna start putting all of our jets back in place. It's got some play, but it's not bad. If we got some major vacuum leaks, we'll know our issue's going to be there in our throttle. And our float height is not happy. We want that to be pretty well dead flat. With a second gasket in there, our float height is really good. Fueler. Unfortunately, this thing is bent, and that's why it kind of moves but doesn't really move, and there's no way for us to actually pull it apart to replace the seals and get it back together functioning. It looks like these are pretty reasonable, so I'm going to try to find something to stick in there for now until we can get an OEM one in its place. I think our plan is to make sure we put the gasket on correctly. know if that functions like it should. I guess it's called a gap, I think. Basically, this is just this is your air mixture, this is your fuel mixture, this is how rich or lean you run it, and then your choke. Hopefully someone built that carburetor okay-ish. Throttle working? Sweet. For now, we're gonna run this nipple up into the tank, and then we can just hook a fuel line up, and I'm gonna put a filter on there for now. We're gonna flush this a couple times, we'll put a filter in there, and then we'll just get a replacement petcock and rebuild that water separator. Once we know this tank clears out, I want to run through that tank a few times with just a modern fuel filter. Off-road. That's what this thing's made for. Ooh. Hey, that's not horrible. I heard the carb fill up. We are holding gas. Sweet. Let's get a condenser in here. See if we got some good firing now. Okay, maybe we need to do points. Yeah, those points just are not happy. Now that we had to pull this apart to get our new points on, we're gonna go ahead and check our baseline timing, and we probably should do that anyway so it really doesn't hurt. Now what's neat is the Model A's here actually have their own timing device. So we'll turn this thing over as we're coming up on the compression stroke. We'll pull this doohickey out, flip it, push it in, and there'll be a detent that this will drop on into, and that'll be our TDC. And then we can set our distributor together and then set our rotor exactly where it should be. Now that we're all hooked up, no issues with our wiring. Our points make. Sweet. All right, we're coming up on compression. So I should be able to drop this in here. Right there. We're gonna set our lever here, looks like a couple notches down, so we can retard it and advance it from that point. Put our cap on, and this can drop back in. We need to get it facing right at number 1. I'm gonna adjust this out just a little bit. Pretty good tolerance on there now. Oh yeah! Popping strong. Let's throw some plugs in this thing. Find out if it's gonna run. Oh, those plugs are good. I think it's time to see if this thing will hit a lick. Okay, so we're gonna give it Just a little bit of throttle. Choke. You actually have to hold the choke. And we're gonna turn the fuel Habenfluber about a turn. Retard it down just a little bit. I don't know. Hit the switch and see what it does. All right, you ready to go? I love it. That thing ran awesome. Okay, we're running out of gas. It blew stuff out from everywhere. There must be we must be missing chunks of the exhaust. That was 4 cylinders off the bat. Okay, go ahead, please. What do you think? I love it. That muffler is awesome. It's like wide open at the seam. So we noticed the petcock down here is open, so there is nothing in there. It smells like coolant. Wow, this thing sounds good. I don't know who built that carburetor. No, that carburetor's not entirely happy. It definitely needs a kit. It's already starting to weep. But I think that's good enough to, let's see if this thing will hold coolant and then we can see if it'll move. It's got coolant in it, so it's just low. I am putting coolant in a 94-year-old Ford. What an awesome day at work. I bet you we'll come to find out that water pump's weeping. Or hopefully this radiator's not. All right, it's a little thirsty. That's right there. Only a couple gallons though. There we go. We're running, and I kind of want to jump in this thing and attempt to drive it. The tires look, well, they've got good tubes in them. They've got just a little bit. Wow, that's a good tire. Okay, but before we attempt to move this thing around, we know for some of the time the transmission and rear end were covered, but then obviously once everything rotted off of it, it was wide open. And I hate for there to be water down in there, so I'd love to at least pull the fill plugs and just make sure it's nice and clean. And we will end up changing everything, but if it does have water in it, we want to change it before we actually destroy something. We're clean as a pin. I say clean, it's old, it's dark, it needs replacement, but there's no water in it, so that will be perfect for riding up the road. It's not bad. Got our seat nicely reattached there. Our cushion. Now this thing has mechanical brakes, and they surprisingly still work. Let's see if the clutch works and see if it moves under its own power. Backing up a 94-year-old car. Dad, this is the coolest thing ever. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, it runs so good. Alright, you ready to plan our trip to California?
Did a rocking chair.
Good in here, Dad. You drove these when you were young, didn't you?
Oh, shut up.
Clutch is way up there. The clutch feels good though, doesn't it? I am
It's a weird feeling, eh?
yeah. Goodness. What do you think of that? That's better, isn't it? All right.
Well, will this 94-year-old Ford run after sitting for over 30 years? You darn tootin' it will. That really just goes to show how resilient and how well built these old cars were back in the day. Are the cars we drive now still gonna be around like this in 94 years? I really hope you all have enjoyed this rescue. I know we had an absolute blast, and we cannot wait to move a little farther with this one. Now, moving on from here, we obviously want to service everything. It could use a set of tires really bad. And then we need to decide where to go with it. Now, our thought is this thing, obviously since probably the 60s, the taillights are date coded 1963. So more than likely this thing was restored at one point, probably in the 60s, and maybe at that point or before then was turned into a peach flat. That is something that we have had here in South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, this area, and I think it would be really neat to rebuild the rear out of wood and make it the peach flat that it always was. A little piece of local history here. But let us know what you all think we should do with it, and if you have enjoyed and you haven't already, you want to see more rescues like this one, be sure to subscribe button and notification bell to keep up with our future uploads. And if you have been a part of the channel, we do appreciate it so incredibly much. We get to rescue almost, why can I not talk? We get to rescue nearly century-old vehicles because of each and every one of you. Thank you all so much. Peace out, and catch you all on the flip side.